week's Parsha is the fascinating story of Yosef and his brothers, and they tried to kill him, then they sold him as a slave, and he went down to Egypt. And the story goes on as he goes to Egypt. He's taken into someone's home, and then he has a very hard temptation, Nisayan, and he overcomes it with his strength, unbelievable strength, and he manages to escape that temptation. What's interesting is, in the middle of the story of selling and this story of the temptation, there's another story in the middle about Yehuda getting married, and he has 2 children. And they have a similar temptation, and they fall for it. And they actually Hashem kills them afterwards for doing what they did. The question is, why is the Torah teaching us that story? We don't even know much about these 2 kids of Yehuda. And what's the significance of a story? What's it relevant to us? And why is it smack in the middle of the entire story of Yosef and his brothers taken down to Egypt? And I want to say the beautiful idea, and it actually comes from my father this time. He says, you see, we all like to have excuses for everything. You know, if I would be much of a better person if only my teacher wouldn't have labeled me a nerd. If only my mother would have been nicer to me, I would have been much better. I would have learned so much better if my teachers in school wouldn't have beaten me like that. If I would only have more money, then I'd have so much more time to spend with my children and Hashem. And if only this and only that. And we use excuses all the time. The Torah is teaching us here, we have 2 cases, 2 scenarios. One with Yehuda and his children. Now, we don't know much about those 2 kids, but they seemingly had an uneventful life. They were children of Yehuda. Yehuda was the king of the tribes, the king of the brothers. They were brought up in a beautiful home, grandfather, Yaakov, and they had the temptation. They fell for it. Now, Yosef, think about his life. When he was young, he was the only child. He was so close to his mother. Didn't have siblings from his mother. But then at a very young age, his mother passes away, his loving mother. An orphan. He had all the excuses in the world, being an orphan. And then his brothers started hating him. They just didn't get along, seemingly, in our eyes. But then even more than that, one day they picked him up and actually tried to kill him. They threw him into a pit full of snakes and scorpions. They took him out afterwards, sold him as a slave. He ends up a 17-year-old kid in a foreign land in Egypt. He had all the excuses in the world to throw out the towel. I said, that's it, I'm done. And if he has a temptation, he has an excuse. And the Torah is teaching us here, 2 people, you could use your excuse, but you're bigger than that. You can rise above that. Things happen all the time. It's about how we take it. Hashem doesn't give us problems. Hashem gives us situations. We either take it and we say, oh, Hashem gave it me. I fell for it. Well, this is what Hashem gave. Or we say, Hashem gave me a test and I have the power within to override it. Hashem is showing us in this parsha, right next to each other, 2 stories. You either fall for it with your excuses, or you can have all the excuses in the world and you say, no, I have the power to overcome this. Thank you and good Shabbos. And of course, the traveling Hasidim Shabbaton this week is with students in Buffalo, New York. We're very much looking forward. Have a wonderful Shabbos.